welcome back everybody to another Digital Gate Studios production. Basil's back in the house with some more BT14 goodness. What do you got?
Well, this was a project I took upon myself because there's a certain point where a deck gets so many good cards that in my mind it just has to be strong.
Oh, it's a Sukamon.
This is Sukamon. No, that's coming in EX5. Yeah. I promise we'll have a Sukamon channel deck on the channel. No, it is it's Mastemon.
Okay.
Mastemon, for those who are true Basil fans, know this is actually one of the earlier decks I ever played.
I remember that.
But not that I ever built. A couple friends of mine had it. They said, give it a try. And I was confused. And I didn't know what was going on. Why do all my cards cost so much? And there's no cards in my hand. What's going on? Since then, I've improved as a player. And so with the wave of yellow support, specifically in BT14, I thought Mastemon just has to be good.
All that vaccine.
So this is a deck that I've been working on basically since the set came out.
Okay.
And I think this is, I don't think I would change too much about this list, but we'll talk about it as we go.
Let's go.
We'll jump right in. Like I said, we are on the yellow base for Mastemon, and I'm going with the Kiaromon.
I love that card.
A lot of decks opt for the new Tokomon. When a card is added to your security, draw one. And I think that is a very strong egg. The problem that I found with earlier builds of this deck is that you run out of cards in your deck before you kill your opponent. The Kiaromon opts for a lot more aggression, which is really important because there are going to be a lot of matchups where you go into a grind game and you're not really in danger of dying, but neither is your opponent. And if that's the case, then you really aren't going to be in too much of a winning position. So I opt for the Kiaromon. We'll talk about all the times where it gets jamming throughout the profile.
Sure.
But basically, on any turn that you're doing Mastemon stuff, you're going to have jamming.
Yeah. And Mastemon is only like a 12K, 12,
Mastemon
13.
is a 13K, but the important thing is we're going to be activating this egg multiple times because of DNA Digivolution. The card that initially got me excited for Mastemon was Patamon.
Yeah.
This card is completely ridiculous.
Yeah.
Start a main, search your security, evo into a vaccine. Almost all of our level 4s are vaccines.
Yep.
But not only that, the inheritable gain of memory is great. We were going out of our ways in Mastemon a lot to gain memory in rookies.
Yeah.
That was Ignite-mon. Some people were still playing the Candle-mon, things like that. Helps you load your security with vaccines. A lot of our deck is a yellow vaccine.
Yeah.
There are a few that aren't, namely purple cards, but you can load your security. As well as even if you promote and don't get the Evo effect, just seeing your security for Mastemon is a huge benefit.
Yeah.
So I really like the Patamon, and that's why we're switching to the yellow base rather than the purple.
Makes sense.
The other reason is we can play to Kudaman.
Yeah.
One of the best searchers in yellow. Like I said, almost all of our yellow cards are vaccine in trait, and we're playing a bunch of yellow Tamers. Some are yellow-purple, some are just yellow, but this card is a great searcher for us. The only thing you have to be worried about is if you don't have that purple in your hand, you're really hesitant to play this. But it is a very nice searcher for us. And then we're just playing 8 on the rookie lineup because we have to make room for a lot of other stuff.
Yeah.
And so I opt for Floodgates, as always. I really like Cutemon. The training cards are completely meta-defining right now.
Absolutely.
And so I think Cutemon's really strong. Earlier builds of this deck did play the Pillowmon. I think Pillowmon is an incredibly strong Floodgate. The only issue, of course, is Mastemon plays Digimon by effects kind of a lot.
Yeah. Mastemon and Mirai, right?
And Mirai. There's just a lot of cards that play Digimon by effects in this deck. And it's like, it comes down to, do you want to stop your opponent from winning at the cost of stopping your own effects? or do you want to... I just opted for the search, and then something... We do reduce Digivolution effects, but Cutemon specifies your opponent.
Yeah.
So I mainly just stick to that. If you wanted to play Pillowmon, I wouldn't hold it against you, specifically because Kudaman, Cutemon, and the Pillowmon are vaccines.
Oh, okay.
So that's nice, but I opted just for the Cutemon.
Nice.
We'll get into the card that holds this deck together. It is the Structure Deck Gatomon.
The second best hard drop turn 1 for 5, right?
It's amazing. It's one of those cards that you'd play 8 of if you could.
Yeah.
In the BT16 set, we're getting another Gatomon, and it doesn't even come close to replacing this one. That's just how good this card is. It's completely timeless. Search 3, grab a purple and a yellow. Evo into an angel, fallen angel, or archangel reduced by 2. End of turn DNA. Yeah. It's a perfect card.
And it's purple and yellow, so you get all of your color requirements in that as well.
Right on a level 4.
Yeah.
Now, one of the weaknesses of Mastemon was the level 4s. Mm-hmm. It had 4 Gatomon, which is one of the best level 4s, not only in Mastemon, but in the entire game. And then it really didn't have a lot of other good options. Mm-hmm. In the BT11 set, you had the Anamon and Devimon. Yeah. And those were fine.
They were okay.
They were okay. And that's what they were. But the level 4s have ramped up dramatically. And the first is the Secret Rare Anamon. Yeah. This card is very, very strong. Mm-hmm. We do only run the 1 Patamon, so we're only evoing for 2 in 1 instance. Mm-hmm. But it has the amazing skill of deleting itself to either neg 5k something or chaos degrade a virus. Yeah. There are a number of viruses running around these days in the level 6 slot. So this card's really strong in that instance. As well as on deletion, recover himself. Then if you have a Tamer, hatch an egg. Yeah. This card is really strong, not only as using its win attacking effect, but also as an inheritable. You can tuck a vaccine. Yeah. So that can set up your security for your next Mastemon stack. It's just a really strong card and a worthy inclusion at 2.
I agree.
The other level 4 that we're gaining from the yellow base is the Geog Gray.
The restricted boy.
The restricted boy. This card is great. I think one of the biggest reasons that it restricted this Geog Gray was not necessarily just for shine, but also for the yellow vaccine. Gotcha. I think that there was a lot of worry that a sort of yellow vaccine shine gray control deck would spark up, and this is one of the biggest culprits. Yeah. But when you do see it, you can Evo into it with the Patamon and then play Mirai for free. That's wild. It's kind of an insane turn. We play it at 1 because we play a bunch of Tamers. We do play 1 last level 4, and that is the Rush Devimon.
I love that card.
This card is perfectly fine. Like I said, this is a more offensive list. We have jamming with our Chiaromon. We have a little bit more offense in our level 5s we'll talk about in a bit. This is just our last push for game. If we have them at 2 security, we can swing with jamming with our level 5 once we've removed a security. We can go into Mastemon, swing with jamming again, and then we can play this off of the Mastemon and swing for game. Yeah. It's just a little bit more offense, which I think is desperately needed in this deck.
The thing I like about that card, too, is if you have like a Mastay on board and for some reason they give you 5. It's essentially like if you have a 3 in your hand, it's essentially having a Bushy Agumon. You can play the Kudaman, drop that for 2, and then boom, just rush with it.
Yep.
Really good.
We'll go into the level 5s. The first is the BT11 Andrean. Yep. This card is very strong. It lets you search your security for an angel or a fallen angel, so it can grab your Lady Devis if they're in security, as well as it's going to be activating our Chiaromon egg. Then when you play Lady Devi, gain a memory, and it has inherited blocker for all of your angels and fallen angels.
Digivolves for 1 on the Gatomon, right?
Off of the Gatomon. And then also the other interesting thing is the blocker inheritable was good, but it's even better with this Anamon because when you block and then it dies, then you can recover it. Yeah, so that's really pretty strong. But most lists you'll see playing this at 4, and that is, again, something that I started with. Yeah. But I still ran into that issue of how am I going to close out games? Yeah. And taking inspiration from an old friend of mine, is going to 2 of the starter deck Angelwomon.
Oh, interesting.
The on play does come up in specific instances. If there's something that you can't delete with the Mastemon effect, you can just give it -2 security, which is very nice. But the most important thing is, while you have a purple Digimon, security attack +1.
Yeah.
So we're going to be doing, like if we're going into this Angemon, we're swinging with jamming, then we go into Mastemon, then we can play this out, and then on the next turn, Evo on top of it and swing 2 checks.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of pressure, and it's really important when you're playing Mastemon to have a way to close out the game, and this is one of our biggest reasons, or our biggest advantages to closing out the game.
I like it.
In the yellow level 5 spot, there was one card I was really playing around with, and that was the Magna Ana Ace.
Yeah, I figured. I was going to ask you about that.
The Magna Ana Ace, I think, is a worthy inclusion in this deck because a lot of times you're going to be hard playing your Godomon very early. And that's going to give your opponent 5, and if you're going second and you give them, 3, 2, 4 memory, they're going to promote and usually have a response to it.
Yeah.
So that was sort of the rationale for starting with the Magna Ana Ace. The more I played with it, the more I realized I really want my level 5s to be called Angelwomon or Lady Devi for my Tamer effects.
Makes sense.
But I think putting the Magna Ana Ace in would be a perfectly reasonable addition. So that's it for our pure yellow level 5s. We'll move into the pure purple, and that is just 2 of the Lady Devi, of the BT11 Lady Devi. This card is really nice because you can pitch something out of your hand, which is not so easy to do in the yellow base.
True.
In the purple base, it was really easy because you had Demimera.
Everything
trash
did it,
yeah. But in this version, it's a little bit more tricky to get cards from your hand to your trash. So this card's really important for that. And then it has the inheritable Give Retal, which is a little bit less important than it was. But it still does come up, give this Angemon Retal. It's just another threat. But the big reason we're playing it is because you can get an angel back from the trash.
Gotcha.
As well as pitch something from your hand. Our other Lady Devi, we are playing one of the BT3 Lady Devi.
Yay.
Draw 2, pitch 2
Love
is
it.
perfectly good. The inheritable delete a rookie when you play an option comes up a little bit less. But this deck draws a lot less than other versions. So this is sort of supplementing that.
Okay.
We do have one utility level 5.
Yeah,
that
I
is the
love that
Make Crack
card.
Vicious
Yep.
Mode. Counts as your yellow and your purple, which is very nice. It also can delete 2 rookies, which is really nice. And then on deletion, if you have 2 colors or more, gain 2.
Love
Which
it.
is interesting because I don't know if a lot of 2-color cards specify 2-color or more. So put the Magna X on top of that. And,
The new
and-
one.
and,
Yeah.
gain memory.
There you go.
In any case, this is going to sort of even out our ratios for DNA, and it does deal with some of the more aggressive rookie rush strategies.
I like it.
Really, really bad to only play one of this card, but it's super hard to find room.
Oh, yeah.
Lucemon Chaos Mode to 1. Usually, most lists will play 2.
That's your ideal recover and play from Master.
Yeah, this is the best one to play off of Mastemon most of the time. But the thing is it's just super hard to find room on these level 5s. This was really what has delayed this deck profile as long as it has.
Yeah.
It's been really tricky to get this ratio right.
Just play a little bit of all of them.
Yeah, I think finding extra room for the Lucemon is really tricky. It's probably should be an option or a Tamer that you go down on. But I found myself finding with one Lucemon, it does really wish you could play 1.5. Jeff will say that sometimes.
Yeah.
2 just felt like too many. And 1 just sometimes feels like not enough. But we do have the one Lucemon.
Well, and the good thing about this deck is essentially you have 2 hands to know where the card is.
It's
you know,
true.
because you're going to see your security for sure in this deck.
It's true. But that's one of the sore spots in the deck.
Makes sense.
On to the level 6. Obviously, we're playing 4 of the Mastemon DNAs with one of your Lady Devis and one of your Andromons. Grab something from the trash, put it in security, then play it. Delete that level, and then activate, their on plays, their on plays, their on plays. It's very nice. And it's all turns. So they hit that Flame Hell Scythe out of security, and it's going to end up wiping 2 things.
Yeah, it's really good.
Mastemon's partner in crime, the Alfani Fall Down mode.
I really like that card too.
I do too. I've seen a lot of lists playing some different level 6 options. Like a lot of people playing Venusmon, which is a card that I really like. Shadow Seraphimon as well. It's a really good card too. Yeah. It is not a vaccine, it's a virus.
Yeah.
I like the Alfani Fall Down mode because a lot of the times your early game will not have the ability to go into Mastemon.
Yeah.
So if you have, you hard played a Godaman or you evoted it into the Raising or evoed into it off of the Patamon, you're going to promote and then go into one of your 5s here and then go straight into the Fall Down mode. Mm-hmm. And then off of the Fall Down mode, you're going to recover 1, delete a level 4, then on deletion, spit out the Godaman and search even more.
Start over. Yep.
I really like the Fall Down mode as the companion level 6. I wouldn't change it at all. We are playing level 7s in the deck. The first is Deathx. There are a lot of options in the level 7 slot.
Yeah.
I just think Deathx is one of the strongest cards this format.
I agree.
There's a reason why the price has went up in recent memory. But I think there are other options. But Deathx, I think, is a worthy inclusion. As well as the Ordynemon.
That is a tricky one to fit in the deck, sir.
The Ordynemon is one of your best comeback mechanics in this deck. A lot of the times you're going to fall behind, and you're going to fall behind fast.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really aggressive decks in this format, especially at our locals. A lot of people are catching on to some of these more offensive strategies.
Sure.
And if you can land an Ordynemon, you're going to wipe their board and heal 1, 2, or sometimes 3 or 4 security. Yeah. And it's, again, another pretty offensive card. It's another card that's going to activate, we can activate our Charomon, and it's going to stick a lot of the times.
Yeah. One thing I will say about that card, because I have messed with that before in a couple of the other versions of, not Mastemon, but a couple other yellow-purple decks that I've messed with, is... be careful with using that late game when you only have, if they have 4 bodies on board and you have 5 cards in your deck.
Yeah, another one.
It can deck you out just by recovering. Yeah.
In the level 7 slot, a lot of people will be noticing that there's no Shine Gray Ruin mode here. Yeah. And I think Shine Gray Ruin mode is one of the strongest cards they've ever printed. The reason that I opted away from it is we have no way to get it out of security other than TK.
Okay.
So this Angemon will grab an Archangel or Fallen Angel, which Ordynemon is a Fallen Angel, and we cannot get Ruin mode out of the security with Mastemon because it's level 7.
Gotcha.
That being said, if you put Shine Gray Ruin mode in your Mastemon deck, I would not hold it against you. I think it's perfectly reasonable. I just think sticking with the theme of the deck makes a little bit more sense to me.
Yep.
We'll go into the options next. No surprise, it is 4 Chaos Dag and 3 Flame Hell Scythe.
Love it.
Mandatory inclusions in this deck. We're playing yellow-purple, so we have some of the best removal in the game.
Yep.
As well as the Flame Hell Scythe is going to play nearly all of our level 5s, not the Lucimon or the old Lady Devi. But other than that, it's perfectly fine. Also playing out your Godomon to get some search on, or playing out your Devimon if you have 6 memory and then rushing for game is really nice too.
Yeah.
We are playing some one-ofs in the option slot. The first is Reinforcing Memory Boost. Okay. It's perfect. It makes a lot of sense to me.
It's a gimme.
It's a gimme. Another gimme is the Calling from Darkness.
Ooh, okay.
A lot of the times your trash is going to be filled up with what you need, and this is going to be how you get it back.
Worth noting, if you did want to play the Ruin mode, that is a way you could get it out of your trash if they hit it in security.
It's true. And then the last option we're playing is 1 copy of Emissary of Hope.
Interesting. Okay.
This was a card that I originally started at a higher value of because I think it's a very, very good card.
Yeah.
The reason it's good is you can go into Mastemon for 1 or a Fawny Fall Down for 1. You can also, in a pinch, if you know that, like if you go into the Patamon, Evo into the Gatomon, and you see an Angemon in there, you can use Emissary of Hope effect to speed that up. Just a lot of good combos with this card. Though I have noticed that playing too many of them was very clunky in the deck.
Yeah.
We are only running the 4 Patamons, so out of security, it's not always necessarily going to land.
Feels bad if they hit it and you have nothing on board.
Yes. Yeah. As well as a lot of the times, you don't want to hard Evo into the Mastemon. Yeah. You do want to get that Jogress off. So I went down on the Emissary of Hope, although I think it is an incredibly strong card.
Because hard DNA or hard Digivolving the Mastemon just recovers.
Yep.
You don't get to play anything.
Correct.
Yeah.
So that's it for the options. In the Tamer, we are on 3 of the Mirai. Most lists you'll see playing it at 4.
I think that's too much.
But the honest to goodness truth is playing 4 5-cost Tamers that you only have one way to cheat it out, and it's contingent on it being in security. It's just a lot of memory.
A big commitment.
You do want to see it every game, but seeing 2 doesn't feel great.
Yeah.
You are going to gain that extra memory, which is nice, but you're never going to activate its effect twice.
Yeah.
Because you have to have 1 Digimon on the field to activate.
Well, thinking about that 5-cost value, I mean, think about like Blazing Memory Boost. Think of the value you get out of that hard play.
Yeah.
You get 2 of the memory back, and you get to play a Tamer and grab a card.
Yeah. That being said, you do want to see Mirai, so I like it at 3.
It's a good card. You gain 1 memory back per turn with that.
It's true.
So
if your game lasts 5 turns, you're in there.
You're net 0. Yep.
We're playing 2 of the Setter TK. It's the best setter in this deck, specifically because we are playing the Emissary of Hope, as well as once we see our security with the TK, we can move the Patamon out of the raising with confidence, just because we'll see our lines from there, as well as a lot of decks were playing the Kari, but I found, especially with this build, with sort of the Patamon and the Angemon and all of the security manipulation, the advantage of seeing it before you commit with the Patamon is a huge advantage.
Yeah.
One last Tamer in the deck, and that is the new TK.
Okay.
The reason the new TK is a mandatory 4 of in the yellow vaccine deck is you don't really care grabbing that top card of security.
Yeah.
Because most of the time it's a Digimon.
Yeah.
A lot more Digimon in that deck. In this deck, it's a lot more scary because if you grab that first card from security and you grab Chaos Dag, you're kind of like, golly, I wish I didn't play this.
Yeah.
That being said, there are only really 7 things that we feel terrible about grabbing. It doesn't feel great to grab, a Mirai or a TK, but it really only hurts when it's Chaos Dag or Flame Hellscythe.
But being able to peek your security before you play that, you'll know what your danger ratio is there.
You can usually do this without fear. But the additional memory gain, it's sort of it's that Setter Kari just on a cheaper card.
Gotcha.
Which is really nice. So that's the list. It's one that I think is pretty dynamic, is very difficult to play. Your first time playing Mastemon will be a confusing learning experience.
Yeah.
But get enough reps on this deck, and you can counter just about anything.
All right, man. I love that deck. Thanks for sharing. Feel free to catch us in the next one, guys. We have tons more content coming, and we have a new set. We have EX5 right around the corner. So, and we'll have a whole nother set of deck lists for you guys. All right, thanks, and we'll catch you in the next one.